Warner Brothers Discovery, or WBD, the 100-year-old studio that gave us The Dark Knight, Harry Potter, and whatever the hell the Velma show was supposed to be, is officially on the auction block again. And now, in the latest episode of Corporate Hunger Games, Netflix has shown up with a big, fat, mostly cash offer to buy the crown jewels. The movie studio, HBO, and yes, DC. Paramount's got an all-cash bid backed by Middle Eastern money. Comcast is sniffing around. The White House is worried about antitrust. And somewhere in the middle of all this, Batman is just trying to figure out who his parent company is this week. If you ever wanted to see DC Comics used as a bargaining chip between a streaming giant, a legacy media zombie, and a cable conglomerate, congratulations, it's 2025. This is your timeline. What's up, critical nerds? Welcome back to the channel where we talk Hollywood, box office, and the slow motion collapse of legacy media, one bad decision at a time. If you're new here, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss when the next studio puts itself up for sale like a used couch on Facebook Marketplace. Today we're breaking down the latest insanity, why Warner Brothers Discovery is taking second round bids right now, what Netflix's mostly cash offer actually means for DC, HBO, and you, why Paramount, Larry Ellison, and CNN are somehow part of this clown show, and whether a Netflix-owned DCU would save the brand, or finally bury it. Let's start with the obvious question. How did Warner Brothers get here again? Well, a quick recap. Warner Brothers Discovery has had, let's call it a pretty rough decade. Botched mergers, streaming pivots, debt up to its eyeballs, and a CEO who's become famous for canceling projects for tax write-offs and calling that strategy. In early rounds, Paramount Skydance tried to swoop in with multiple offers reportedly in the tens of billions, and Warner Brothers said, nah, it's not good enough. David Zaslav and the board think this thing is worth way more, especially after the stock surged on sale rumors. Fast forward to now, advertising is soft, cable is dying, streaming is expensive, and the company just posted another quarterly loss. So instead of pretending everything's fine, they've basically opened the doors and said, all right, billionaires, who wants the keys to Gotham, Hogwarts, and HBO? And that brings us to round two of the bidding war. Now, as of yesterday, December 1st, second round bids are in from Netflix, Paramount Skydance, and Comcast. And this is where things get serious. According to multiple reports, Netflix has submitted a mostly cash offer for Warner Brothers Discovery's studio and streaming operations. We're talking the movie studio, HBO, and the Max streaming service. Not necessarily the entire Frankenstein monster that includes all the cable networks. Paramount, on the other hand, has reportedly come in with an all-cash offer around $25 per share, backed by Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds. And they're the only ones trying to buy the entire enchilada, the entire company, including TNT Sports and the cable side. Comcast they're hovering around too, mostly interested in a version where they can bolt Warner's entertainment assets into NBC Universal without getting annihilated by regulators. So the rough breakdown is this. Paramount Skydance, we'll take it all. HBO, CNN, TNT Sports, the cable zombies, the debt, everything. Netflix, we just want the good stuff. The films, HBO, streaming, and DC. Please keep the cable corpse. And Comcast, we'd like a version that doesn't make the government angry and doesn't require us to sell half of NBC. Warner Brothers, well, they can now pick a path. Sell the whole company, sell just the entertainment and streaming assets, or try to spin things off and squeeze out more value by 2026. This is not just a sale, folks. This is a restructuring of the entire Hollywood food chain. So, this begs the question, why Netflix wants DC and HBO so badly? I mean, let's be real. Netflix doesn't wake up one day and say, you know what we need? TNT reruns of The Closer. Nah, what they want is this. They want the Warner Brothers film library, decades of classics, plus ongoing franchises. HBO, which is prestige TV, brand power, and awards bait. Of course, you've got DC, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, and a chance to try their own connected universe with actual IP people care about. And streaming service they could fold into or rebrand alongside Netflix. Netflix has already been exploring this for weeks. They tapped banks, dug into Warner's books, and clearly decided, yeah, this is worth going to war for. Now, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. They're hitting a ceiling on subscriber growth. Original content is expensive and hits are rare. Competitors have giant IP libraries, Disney with Marvel and Star Wars, Universal with Fast and Furious, Jurassic Park, and etc. Buy Warner Studios plus HBO and DC, and suddenly Netflix isn't just the place you binge shows. It's home to Batman, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and whatever James Gunn is trying to resurrect over at DC. From a fan standpoint, though, because do you really want a Netflix DCU? Because on the plus side, we might get global distribution, tighter continuity, no more we don't know who Superman is this week nonsense. But on the downside, binge dump releases, algorithm-driven creative decisions, event films being treated like content to fill quarters instead of theatrical events. Netflix could either stabilize DC or turn it into another content sausage factory. Then you got Paramount, Larry Ellison, and the CNN angle. Yeah, this is where things get really spicy. Paramount Skydance, backed by Larry Ellison and friends, isn't just trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery because they love Batman. They've reportedly very interested in CNN of all things. And the current political climate, well, that matters a lot. Multiple outlets have reported that the Trump White House is quietly signaling that a Paramount deal would be easier to approve. And that people around Larry Ellison have even had conversations about exactly which CNN hosts they'd like to, well, just say, adjust. Let's say that doesn't exactly scream independent journalism. So imagine this. Paramount Skydance takes over WBD. They already own CBS and Paramount Plus. They add Warner Brothers, HBO, CNN, TNT Sports. You're looking at a massive media empire with huge political pressure coming from the top. From a regulatory perspective, that actually makes Paramount's job easier than Netflix's. Paramount is not the dominant global streamer. They could argue it's about saving CNN and building a competitive alternative to Netflix and Disney. Antitrust officials are already worried about Netflix getting too big with Warner's library tacked on. So even if Netflix has the shiniest, mostly cached offer, the White House and regulators might look at this and go, yeah, well, maybe we don't want the world's biggest streamer also owning Batman and HBO. Which, by the way, is hilarious coming from the same people who let every other merger happen for 20 years. So, what would a Netflix-owned DCU save or kill a brand? I mean, really. Let's talk DC because that's what most of you care about. That's what I care about. First scenario, Netflix wins. You get a DC universe backed by the deepest streaming pockets on Earth. They can fund multiple shows, spin-offs, animated projects, and global campaigns. And they'd absolutely push DC as a pillar of the Netflix brand. Now the pluses, bigger global reach, potentially better long-term planning, fewer stupid, we're rebooting one character but not the other situations. Now the negatives, binge dump culture, short attention span content. If a show doesn't crush in week 1, the algorithm buries it and we never see season 2. Now, second scenario, Paramount wins. You get DC folded into a more traditional studio-first model. Think theatrical films tied into Paramount Plus and maybe Max rebranded or absorbed. Now the pluses, theatrical still matters. Less algorithm obsession. CNN, HBO, DC under one roof could force them to care about brand reputation. Now the negatives, debt, and more debt. Paramount's own house hasn't exactly been in perfect order, and political pressure hanging over CNN and maybe the rest of the portfolio. The last scenario, scenario 3, this is where Comcast wins. We get DC living next door to Minions, Fast and Furious, and Jurassic World, and Universal finally gets a superhero empire. Honestly, not the worst outcome creatively, but regulators might lose their minds. So what does this mean for you? Well, the poor soul just trying to watch a Batman movie without needing 5 apps and a spreadsheet. No matter who wins, expect another round of rebranding and reshuffling. Streaming apps will get bundled, merged, and renamed again. Prices will creep up as the quote-unquote winner tries to pay off tens of billions in acquisition costs. DC's future, and whether we get a stable long-term cinematic universe, is once again in the hands of corporate executives and politicians, not fans. Is it fun watching these people fight over the corpse of legacy media? Yeah, it is. Is it good for consumers? Probably not. So, I want to hear from you guys on this one. Here's the question of the day. If you had to pick your poison, Netflix DC, Paramount DC, or Comcast DC, which corporate overlord are you choosing and why? Drop your take in the comments, especially if you've got a dream slate. Who directs the next Batman? Would you keep James Gunn in charge? Do you want more theatrical first, or do you accept the streaming overlords? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share this video with a friend who still thinks AT&T owns Warner Brothers. You can also catch the uncensored versions of these new rants over on Rumble. Yes, I do have a channel on Rumble and YouTube. I'm the Critical Nerd, and in Hollywood, nothing is permanent except debt, bad decisions, and I'll see you in the next one.